I'm going to use this I'm going to go onto Facebook. So I'll work off this phone only for this.
Okay.
Fantastic.
I'm going to mute myself and hide away slightly whilst I
Good idea.
pay attention.
Are we ready, Lincoln?
I am.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome, Lincoln, to my afternoon tea.
Hey.
How are you?
Excited. I've been so looking forward to this, and all our friends are with us as well. So yeah, bring it on.
Okay. Well, my first question to you is, what was your childhood like?
Very happy. My childhood was very, very happy. My parents met in Northampton. My dad, John, who passed away in '92, came from Grenada and was working on the buses in Northampton, staying with my mum's brother. So my mum came to visit her brother and ended up marrying the lodger. Mum was from Barbados. They decided to settle in Northampton, literally half a mile from where they met in Alma Street, opposite the big clock in St James, for those who know, and we lived there. And then when I was 7, we moved to the area where I live now in Duston. My childhood was very, very happy. My childhood was innocent. I played football, lots of football. I loved sports. I enjoyed music. I had good friends. It's funny because people who kind of work in my space always tell stories about being surrounded by artists and painters and poets, or have a history of theatre. I live a normal life now, and I lived a very normal life then. And I don't think that actually did me any harm, because I have a very, very balanced view of the world. Of course, there are aspects of doing this job that are a bit sort of extreme, but generally, I get a real, when I'm back in Planet Lincoln, my normal life, you know, I've got normal people around me who give me a great sense of balance, and I've always had what I call normal friends. So my friendships are based around, you know, human interaction and friendship. I'm not friends with people because they're artistic. I'm friends because we're friends, and then everything else happens the way it happens. I don't live a racially a definitive life. I'm a person who happens to be black. So, you know, I married the girl that I love, who happens to be English, white. But then, as I explained to somebody the other day, although superficially we look different, we actually lived the same life. We both lived in the same area. At our wedding, 60% of our guests outside our family knew both of our families. So, you know, that's how aligned our lives were. But sorry, I'm going off track because your question was about my childhood. My childhood was very, very happy. Mm-hmm. And I was allowed. The thing is that I wasn't allowed. Sorry, didn't have any barriers to progress in life, in sports, in friendship. You know, I was very, very free, and very, very, very expressive. You know, I didn't have any constraints. Mm-hmm. I said from a very early age that I wanted to play the piano, and nobody stopped me getting to this point. You know, emotionally, intellectually, and certainly within the household that I had. I've got a sister who's 3 years younger than me, who's an accountant. She works in the city. She's a metropolitan person. She could never live in Middle England. The Gervis, if you're watching, yeah, you're a city girl. She's such a city girl. And I love her to bits. And, you know, she she lives the life that she lives, and I live the life that we live. We're brother and sister, but we're very, very different in our outlook. She has a very sort of cosmopolitan existence, and she's very conscious of ethnicity and all the rest of it. I just live my life.
Mhm. And did you enjoy school?
Loved it. Yeah, I loved school.
Mm-hmm.
I went to St James Primary, St James Infants. Left in year 2, or we called it top infants then. In those days, we had infants and juniors, and then came here to Dustin to Eldine Infants, which was a very, very happy school. Eldine Juniors, both my children went to the same school that I went to. Went to Rylands Middle. We had a 3-tier system. I was there for 2 years, and in those 2 years, I probably did everything. I really engaged with football, rugby, athletics, music. I took up the violin in year 7, played in the orchestra. So I lived my best days at school in terms of activities were between the ages of 11 and 13. Year 8, I went to the Dustin, they now call it Dustin School, Dustin Upper School. And it was there that I really started to nail the music career. And I suppose that was the only time when I started to get opposition to my ambition, because I was now doing something that other people weren't expecting me to do. You know, when you're 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, playing the piano, everyone's playing the piano or playing something, everyone starts giving it up from 13 and 14, and I was still doing it. And a lot of people thought I was a bit weird. You're still playing the piano? I mean, at the age of 55, I still get asked the question, are you still playing the piano? Like, there's this sort of expectation that I'm going to give up. But, 14 to 18, the Dustin, I've been back to my school 6 times, 5-6 times to do prize givings. So, they're very, very proud of what I have become. My children are now at that school. It's a different school to the school that I was at. I've always lived on the edge of town. Dustin is still on the edge of town. It was described on Anglia television as a deprived area, which upset everybody in Dustin, especially the people who think they're quite posh. It was a good area to grow up. We were happy. We didn't have any pressures. There wasn't any extreme racism. I didn't feel deprived. I didn't really. When you're a child, you should just live in your little world, and you deal with the wider world. When you get the other side of your GCSEs or your A levels. So up to the age of 15, certainly, I lived a very innocent world, and then things started to open up when I really started to seriously pursue the piano.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And did you have any problems at school?
No, not really. No, I didn't. My parents were together. We were happy. We were a solid unit. My friends, a lot of my friends will be watching this on playback or watching it live. If you asked them what was Lincoln like, I was just the guy that was good at sport that played the piano. That's how everybody kind of remembers me, and not precious, just one of the crowds. So no, I didn't have any challenges. When you're a child, you think that the whole world is against you. You think everything's not fair and all the rest of it. But generally speaking, no, there's nothing controversial to report. For the first, certainly 15, 16 years of my life.
Brilliant. So you obviously went on to further education to study music, did you?
Yeah.
And did you study sports at the same time, or was it just focused on music?
There was a turning point when I was 11. I was really good at football, really, really good at football. I probably played football till I was, look, I'm competitive. I take everything very, very seriously. So when I was playing football, even at 16, I was still thinking about training. I was sprinting. I was a very fast runner. But at the age of 11, I got approached by a scout, I believe was attached to Northampton Town. And the scout approached my dad, and my dad said, Lincoln makes his own decisions, so you have to talk to Lincoln. And he asked me in front of all my teammates. I was playing for my boys brigade team, the 15th Boys Brigade, and I was in the Boys Brigade from age 6 all the way to 18. And he said, my name is so-and-so, and would you come and play for us? I said, I'm really, really sorry. I don't think we're going to have time to play for you or train with you, because I'm going to become a pianist. And the other 10 guys looked shocked. And I wondered why they were shocked, because they all knew I played the piano. But from that moment onwards, I realized that people made statements about what they wanted to be, but were not actually serious about pursuing. And I realized for the first time then, at the age of 11, that if I said I was going to be a pianist, that there were actually people out there that didn't believe me for whatever reason. I mean, you know, we've got Steve with us on the call as a business coach, and we talk about goals and journeys and routes. But in my head, I didn't ever see a different outcome. That's what I was going to be. And I realized at the age of 16, when at 15, 16, I had to go to London for lessons. I had a scholarship in London. And then at 18, I went to the Royal Academy of Music in London. And I moved to London and lived there full time and stayed there for 5.5 years. But everything was kind of very, very smooth. I just couldn't play football because I needed football and cricket and rugby and do my athletics. I just needed to be, you know, more specific. I was very aware of how good everybody else was. And from the day that I saw Young Musician of the Year as a 12-year-old, I realized that there was this community of people who were really, really good. And if I was going to succeed, I had to keep up with the chasing pack. So if you look at the I know that not all the ladies here are football fans, but if you look at the Premier League, you've got Sheffield United at the bottom and you've got Manchester City at the top. And I wanted to be in the to get to Europe, I needed to be in the top 6 places. Number one, I had to be in the Premier League and I had to be in that conversation. And I was forever looking to see where every 2 years Young Musician of the Year would come along, and I would look and see where those pianists were in relation to where I was. And then at the age of 17, I entered the competition myself and missed the first round, and then went to music college. But I knew I wasn't far away. And then when I went for my auditions, because I also had the teacher, I knew that I was in the mix and I knew what I needed to do. You know, it's a bit like, we need to win this game to win the championship. We need to win this game. You know, when I auditioned for the Royal Northern in Manchester, the Royal College in London, which is at the back of the Albert Hall, and then the Royal Academy of Music, which is next to Madame Tussauds. Those were the only 3 that I was looking at. Much to the annoyance of my teachers, I didn't fill in any UCA forms. I said, what's the point? I'm going to music college. I knew I had to get there, and I knew what I needed to do it, and I just did it. There was no, I was quite tunnel visioned and belligerent. Some would say belligerent, but I was determined. I had my eye on the prize, and I wasn't going to kind of fall short and make any compromises, because I knew that if I got to the Royal Academy, I'd always known since age 5, 6, that if I got to the Royal Academy of Music, then I was doing, you know, I was at the top of the game. You know, I was in a networking meeting a few weeks ago, and as we did each other's, we chatted in the breakout room, we did each other's pitches. And this guy, and I'm not going to embarrass him, I'm just going to say he's a cybersecurity guy. And he said, but my teacher told me I should go to the Royal Academy of Music. You're in the top 1%. You're in the top 1% of the 1%. And I thought, wow, it's very rare that people kind of identify how difficult it was to get to that point. And that was my target from my lowly position. I was a lowly position as a 5, 6-year-old. But that was my target. I didn't know anybody that was a musician. I just knew that this was where I wanted to get. And it's a bit like saying, right, I haven't got a map, but I know that I've got to get onto the M1 and head south, and I'll get to London. That's as much as I knew. And as you're traveling closer and closer to London, you know, from Northampton, Milton Keynes, there's Luton, there's Hemel Hempstead, there's Watford, and then suddenly you start to see places and you go, I'm getting close to London. You pull off the M1 and you get to the Hendon Way and you go, yeah, I'm here. And I was there. And I thought, right, all the possibility, everything is possible. And right up to the day that I walked into that place, you know, there was a lot of background noise saying, well, you're not going to do this. You're not going to do this. You can't do this, but you can. And then I realized, right, I'm where I need to be. Now what happens now? It all starts again. And then, you know, found out what it means to be a musician, what the possibilities are. And then I stepped on from there.
Brilliant. So where did your love of music come from? Was there, you know, was there any member of the family that played? Or was it something within inside you that you got the passion? Where did it come from?
My mother said that I got all the pans out and used to beat rhythms on the pan, so I should have been a drummer. I had a cousin, Elson, who unfortunately has passed on. He was 12 years older than me, who was having lessons with Molly Tomlin. So I got sent. Sorry, that sounds like I got dragged against my will. I went to Molly Tomlin because Elson was having lessons with her and he was doing quite well. And Elson was good. As far as I was concerned, Elson was going to be a pianist. And my first ambition was to be as good as Elson. You know, he could sit at the piano and play stuff that would amaze you. And you go, wow, he's great. So I just wanted to be as good as Elson. And then a year into my piano lessons, I went to see Yehudi Menuhin play the violin. My dad's got these tickets to see Yehudi Menuhin play the violin. He played Mozart's Violin Concerto with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, and it was live on Radio 3. BBC Symphony Orchestra, live on Radio 3, Yehudi Menuhin. He comes on, he's got his tails, his white bow tie, and he looks immaculate. He plays brilliantly. The audience go berserk. And I turn to my dad and go, that's what I want to do. Wear nice clothes and play for nice people. And the ambition to be a musician started there. Mm-hmm. There wasn't anyone around. I mean, there wasn't any particular people around me that were musical. My parents just acted on the good advice of the people who knew. So my Molly Tomlin taught me from age 4 to 16. With a scholarship, I went to David O'Norris from 16 to 18. From 18 to 20, I had Narine Aratunian, who was from Armenia, who was fearsome. And from age 20 to 22, I had the head of keyboards, the late Alex Kelly, who taught me how to play the piano for a living. And whilst I was with Alex, somebody met him at a dinner party and said, I'm looking for a pianist to play on a show, and he needs to be black and he needs to be classically trained. And Alex just laughed out loud and said, I've got just the guy. And I got this note to call this lady. Joanna McGregor is a pianist who's now the head of piano at the Royal Academy of Music. She was starting out as a concert pianist. She was writing some music to make ends meet for theatre. She did this show about Paul Robeson, who made Old Man River famous and Showboat. And she needed a guy to play Lawrence Brown. I became that man, went straight into this show. I didn't know what I was walking into, and I was with a cast of 9 who were all eminent. 6 of them I'd watched on TV in the previous 7 days. So I'd gone from being a normal boy in Northampton to suddenly being on this show with people that I live with had heard of. And that was massive. And I was in the West End, and within 3 days, I played on television, and then I played on Radio 4, and then I met everyone from EastEnders and Coronation Street. I played at London Weekend Television, and 6 weeks later, it was all over. And my best mate Ian Murphy and I were sitting in the Hopping Hill in Dustin talking about it, and the landlord looked at the two of us and said, "You two are deluded. I've been listening to your conversation. You're talking about celebrities and the West End," and he didn't. This guy had no idea that people like us do things like that. And I thought, isn't it amazing? Because Ian was with me for the last two shows, and he was there rubbing shoulders and sitting with all these famous people and enjoyed the whole adventure with me. And just like a light switch, we were back in Northampton, back in regular Middle England once again. And not a celebrity in sight. The King's Road was a distant memory, and ordering champagne. I couldn't even go in the pub and say, "Could I have 2 glasses of your best champagne?" People couldn't even spell champagne in that pub. And my life has been like that. You can go from doing something amazing to doing something really unbelievably mundane. I did a concert in London. I can't remember which member of the royal family it was. And I remember putting on Facebook, I was doing this concert, and Julian Lloyd Webber was playing the cello. He was playing the cello and I was going after him. And I remember putting on Facebook, I'm sitting backstage in my dressing room watching Julian Lloyd Webber on the screen, and I'm going next. And someone said, "Are you nervous?" And I said, "No, I'm worried about tomorrow's gig." And I was playing the next day in a place called Behind the Bus Stop. And there must have been a dozen people in there. And this woman came up to me and said, "You're not very good, are you? You're not going to play many gigs. You need to speak to my daughter. She plays a bit of trumpet. She might be able to help you out." And the guy that was behind the counter, Paul, who will probably be watching this, had his head in his hands, because he's thinking, this guy's just been playing on the stage in London with Julian Lloyd Webber and Toby Anstis, and I was accompanying Jane Webster, and Jane had just been in The Sound of Music at the London Palladium, and there was this nothing person telling me that I would never play great gigs. And there I was 24 hours earlier playing a great gig for the Glitterati. This wasn't just anybody. The Glitterati of London was watching me, and they loved what I did. And there was this random person in a backstreet cafe telling me I was crap. And that is the absurdity of this job, is that when somebody's watching me playing in a wedding, and they think that their wedding is my biggest gig, I might have been playing, as happened, at Windsor Castle for the Queen the day before, and they don't know that. I'm just a bloke who plays a piano. And your job can go from, being with the obscenely powerful to the obscenely mundane, just like that. But my mindset has to be the same. I have to be the best I can be, the best presented I can be, and treat everybody with honor and respect. So as far as I'm concerned, I've said before, every time I step out to play, I'm playing for royalty. And around you, Karen, you've got utter royalty. You've got the lovely Maria there in Greece, and Silvana is in Spain, and Mandy is in Germany, and Steve is in the south of England. And today, they are my royalty. Sorry, Karen, I didn't forget you there in Romford. Those are the special people. They are my special people. They are my royalty. If I'm playing for the Queen tomorrow, I'll be no more excited playing for her than I am playing for my friends.
Okay. So you've already said that you basically went from school to music college, and you've said you played the violin.
Yeah.
You played the piano. Is there any other musical instrument that you can play or add to your talents?
When I was 11 years old, I satisfied the curiosity of my toddler years and played the side drum in the Boys Brigade. Playing the side drum is probably one of the proudest moments of my life, being the lead drummer for the Boys Brigade and the battalion. And, I took my children to the Edinburgh Tattoo the summer of 2016. And it was just, it's got to be the best thing I've ever been. And my kids have said that it's one of the best experiences we've had as a family. And in recent times, with Remembrance, they got the old band back, and we would reconvene, have a band practice, and do the whole thing again. So I've got my side drum by my bed, and every now and again I clip it in and march around the house. When the kids were small, they'd follow me, and I was like, quick, march! And we'd pretend that we were at Trooping of the Colour. So I played the side drum. I can play the drums, and I learned the church organ at 16 with Molly Tommy. So when I went off to London for lessons with my scholarship, my teacher, my first teacher, then taught me how to play the church organ properly, and she taught me my theories. She went through theory with me because she knew that I'd need that to bolster me as I went forward, which was utterly invaluable.
Brilliant, brilliant. So do you believe anyone can play music? Or do you believe it's a gift?
There's a book over there that I'm looking at. It says talent is overrated. I've been teaching the piano for 30. So I didn't say that when I started teaching, playing in the West End, I'd already started teaching. So I've been teaching for 33 years. I believe, do I think I was talented? Do I think I am talented? Do I think I'm special? I think that if a person works at playing the piano with a particular mindset, and they do most of the things that I did, that they would get where I was going and got to. So yeah, people, yeah. Different people will say different things. For the purposes of here and now and this question, I think that anyone can play a musical instrument. You've just got to do the work. I'm a big football fan, as you know, Carol, and I always say to people that I've watched the best footballers play. I've seen Ronaldo play, I've seen Messi play, I've seen Rooney play, Giggs, and my mates will tell you that when I go to football, I like to be in the ground an hour early. I like to watch the players warm up, and I like to watch what the elite players do different to everybody else. And I saw Ronaldo play against Man United for Real Madrid in 2013, which was Sir Alex's last European game. And all he did was practice shooting. And I thought, you know what? This guy is the best in the world at this. And yet he's drilling that ball more times than any other of the 21 guys on the pitch before the game to make sure he's ready. So there's got to be something in that. And of course, it was his goal that put Manchester United out of the Champions League that night. So it was the preparation, the application, and the discipline and sacrifice. To use Ronaldo as an example, you know, he left home, he left Madeira at the age of 13 to go to Lisbon to play for Sporting Lisbon. And at the age of 18, he went to Manchester United. And at the age of 25, he went to Real Madrid. And at the age of 31, he went to Inter Milan. So he was prepared to do what it took to get where he needed to get. You know, when I look at athletes and all the great musicians, they all worked hard. Paganini was doing 10 hours a day on the violin. I'll tell you what, if anyone's doing 10 hours a day, real structured practice, they're going to get good. They're going to get good. I've only acted, I know you lot will think I played a fool most of the time, but I got the chance to act for real. I played an American gangster in Christmas 1989-90 on a show called Choo Choo Boogie. And I had never acted before. I'd never even been the third shepherd. Never mind playing. I'd never been the narrator. I was always the orchestra. So I got the opportunity to be a gangster. I know that all my girlfriends will think, well, Lincoln wasn't acting. But acting is a really difficult art, and I had to work on it. I had 3 weeks rehearsal to work on it. I was surrounded by some of the best actors in the Northwest. Many of one or two of them are regulars now on Coronation Street, and all of the others in that cast are doing so well in the West End. And because I was surrounded by great actors who were sharing the tools of the trade with me, by the time we opened, you know, in my head I was Laurence Olivier, and you know, I absolutely looked the part. I felt the part. I thought like an actor. And I haven't, you know, apart from a stint in Hotel Babylon, I haven't done any real acting since. So that was a classic example of someone who's never done something doing it with the right instruction, drive, determination. I think it can. Yeah, anybody can do anything. It really is a mindset thing.
Yeah, yeah. And obviously the pandemic has affected your live performances. However, you're probably the one musician, I believe, that thought outside the box.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys who'll probably be watching this who will, you see what Lincoln's doing and have sort of copied and played Facebook Live. It's funny, when the pandemic hit, Karen, I remember saying to my wife, Anne-Marie, and the children, Lucy and Alice, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this time to do what I haven't done for a long time, is really practice. At the end of that week, I saw my friend Ray Hugh. He was playing the guitar in his garden to Facebook Live, and I could see the comments that were coming through, and there was a high number of people watching live, and there was such pleasure being given to so many people, and he was getting such pleasure from playing. And I said to my wife, do you know what, I'm going to play tomorrow on Facebook Live. It wasn't, I didn't intend to do it, but just seeing what he was getting back and what he was giving in terms of joy, I thought maybe, you know, it would be a criminal thing for me to not play on Facebook Live. I likened it at the time to playing in the bandstand in the local park. In one of our local parks, Abington Park, we've got a bandstand, and with my jazz trio, we've played. And the thing about playing in the bandstand is you don't know who's going to walk into that park and watch you. Anybody. There's no security keeping people at bay. You know, a lady came up to up the steps and came up to the piano while I was in the middle of a piece with my trio, with Alan and Andy, and whispered, while I was playing, "Can you play Knees Up Mother Brown?" And I said, yeah. So I played it. Yeah. Knees Up Mother Brown, Knees Up Mother Brown. She lifted up her dress and did the dance. And my kids, who are on about half a mile away, they're playing with their friends on the hill. Now they know what Lincoln does when Lincoln performs, and they're looking at the bandstand. Alice's grabbed Lucy and Lucy's grabbed Alice, and they're going, "What's going on with Dad? What's going on? What's that woman doing with Dad?" And then they ran to Mum, to Anne-Marie, and went, "What's going on? Is Dad okay?" And so this was a lady who wasn't quite there, and the people that were looking after her appeared very quickly and guided her down the stairs and said, "Leave the nice man alone." And you know, she was just having her fun. And I kind of thought, as playing on Facebook Live was a little bit like that, I was suddenly exposing myself to the whole world. Who is going to plug in and watch me? And there's that kind of fear of who you're going to expose yourself to online. But the overwhelming reaction was so positive. There were people who I had never met, had never played for, who didn't know who the hell I was, were messaging me and telling me that they enjoyed the performance. And I remember sitting down with Anne-Marie for a cup of tea, I think, 75 minutes. I played for 75 minutes. Afterwards, 2,000-3,000 people views. At the time, we were as high as 250, 260, which is a lot of people with their eyeballs on the screen watching me in real time playing. And there was such a buzz. And the countries that I reached in that one performance, really sort of took me by surprise. And a lot of my friends said, you really need to do this again. You need to do this again. And I did the second. That was a Monday. The next one was a Saturday. And my friend in Canada, Miss Emily, she's an artist, performing artist. We performed together 2 years earlier. We were chatting about each other's performances, and she said that she had to go off and do some birthday shout outs. And I said, what's a birthday shout out? She said, oh my God, I just play and sing happy birthday. And I said, can I borrow that idea? And she said, yeah, be my guest, do whatever you like with it. And a few days later, I did my first commemorative video telegram for a lady who comes into Cafe Brio every Monday to watch me play. And I did it for her friend somewhere in Germany. And it became a thing. I did one, then I did two, then I did three. People were asking me if I would play for their parties online, like I am now, on Zoom, on camera. So the people are in 20, 30 rooms, just watching from their own homes, and I'm playing and they're interacting, and this became a thing. And I thought, wow, the telegrams have grown. Obviously, I network, which is how we've all met, and how I've met with all the people that are here on this call. And the world has kind of opened up in a different way. I haven't had to go to the Shell garage up the road and put 80 quid's worth of diesel in and then go. I just travel, and I travel further. You know, I've got, you know, my V-Team's referral team who I'm going to see after we're done, in Canada and South Africa and India, Pennsylvania. You know, you're there in Worcestershire, I'm here in Northampton. The ladies are in Rhodes, Italy, Germany. Steve's down there in Sussex. I've got all my friends down in Portsmouth I'm going to be with. And suddenly there's this huge network of people, of opportunities to play for. And so whenever I talk to people in the real world, they think I'm sat in here watching loose women with a bag of chips on my lap and a can of Stella or Stella Artois, and I've, you know, become a closet alcoholic or whatever. They have no idea, unless they're watching this and tracking my network, my growing network, that here I am doing. I've always been a busy pianist. Last 2019, I played 245 engagements. So I've never been idle, and that's been about the level I've been at for the previous 23 years. For 23 years, I've been hitting those kind of numbers. So, you know, it's not like I'm not used to being around people and traveling and doing all of that. But this is on a different scale. And I haven't thought about the income or what I'm losing. I'm just getting on with it. I'm just doing, can you do this? Yes, I do. I do the next thing. I do the next thing. I do the next thing. It's only when I sit down with the likes of Steve Bimpson and Lisa Heidselman and all the other really fabulous coaches that I've met on the networking journey, that I think, do you know what? This is actually sort of a business idea. All I ever wanted to do from the day that I put my first postcard in the newsagents is to share what I have and pass it on and do a service. It's only when you sort of sit down with Carl Elsby, my accountant, who purchases glasses over his nose for when he does have glasses. He doesn't have them now. Your profit and loss. Or my first accountant I dealt with at the Royal Academy of Music, who came in to do a talk, and my dad said, write it all down. And I wrote it all down. And he looked and went, this is great. You've got a great business here. I didn't realize I had a business. I thought I was just a piano player and I'm just a pianist and I'm a piano teacher. I have a business. I have a business. I have to have a strategy. I have to have an image. I've just literally, before I came in here, been advising children in Leicester about business. So many kids want to do businesses with reclaimed clothes or takeaway food. And my first question is, who are you? You know, your image. How are you gonna get noticed? There are certain things that I've done without even thinking about. You know, I've always been a smart pianist. I've never turned up looking like a sack of potatoes, apart from when I come to your pub on a Sunday night or Friday night and all the girls are there. But when I'm playing, I always play to give a great performance. And that is my unique selling point. You know, I wear piano tie because I got given a piano tie. Samantha Boyle, I know she'll be watching somewhere abroad. She gave me a tie. She went to the clothes show. It's a black and white tie. A black and white piano tie fitted with my tuxedo. I thought that was different. And I realized it marked me out. People are like, yeah, it's linked with the piano tie. And those kind of things just became naturally there. You sort of, as time goes on, you start to think about what it is that keeps you ahead. People kept saying, how come Lincoln plays more gigs than everybody else? You start to realize that, you know, personality actually is very important. It's a thing. Presentation is a thing. Getting your message out on LinkedIn is a thing. Networking is a thing. All of these things, it's about engagement. And then, of course, you've got to be able to play the piano well. And practicing is a thing. You got to practice. You know, I had a guy said, "Can I do a gig for you if you can't do it?" I said, "Yeah. Tell you what, you come along and show me what you can do." And he played, and he was absolutely terrible. And then I said, "What went wrong?" He said, "I haven't got it." I said, "Well, why?" He said, "I'm not natural like you." Now, if my mum and dad were there, they'd go berserk. My mum did so many extra shifts on the psychiatric ward to pay for the lessons to get me where I am. You know, my dad did so much overtime. He kept W. Chamberlain Phipps going. That place fell apart within weeks of him dying of cancer on Christmas Eve '92. But the money that came in to pay for my violin, my trips to London, to Willesden Junction, to buy the music, to pay for my clothes, to take me on the journeys, you know, all that came together to create what's in front of you now. So this kind of business of, it just comes to you easily. A lot of endeavour. It's like this footballer I was talking to the other day. I'm not going to mention any names. He said the reason why he made it is his dad finished work early 3 times a week and took him to training. He had to get to training. One of the reasons why George Best never fell apart is he never turned up to training. And I saw George Best play live in the 80s. Simon Sanders, who was my flatmate in my early days at the academy, he won a competition to play with George Best, LBC Radio 11. Simon passed the ball to George. George beat 3 players, including Bobby Charlton, did a shimmy, crossed the ball. Simon did a diving header, hit the bar, and that was our moment at Wembley. And we still talk about it now. And we both said, what talent George Best had. Just that moment of magic. Just think what he could have done, what he could have achieved if he could have stayed off the bottle and gone to training. He'd have done more than beat Benfica once in the Champions League in '68. You know, there are so many people out there who are talented and they never follow through and they never have consistency. So that's kind of how it, I'll probably give you a more extended answer than the one you were looking for, but that's how I kind of see it. You know, everybody's good at what they're doing. And the ones that are exceptional are working bloody hard behind the scenes, like the swan, floating across the water. But those legs are going like Billy-O under the water. You can't see that, yeah?
That's it. So is there anything that you would have changed looking back over your life?
The only thing I'd change, that's a good question, Karen. It's a brilliant question. The only thing I would change is that I probably would have had more fun. I would have allowed myself to enjoy every stage of my life. Life is not about where you're getting to, it's about the journey. You know, from age 0 to 7 or age 0 to 4 at nursery school. I loved nursery school. I loved Sunday school. The lady, I know Sheila Jackson's watching, my first Sunday school teacher. I absolutely love her to bits. Those were happy days. My early days were happy days. My teenage days were happy days. And I think that if I was going to change anything, I wish I could have appreciated how magical all of it was. Because, you know, one of your questions was, well, did I have a happy childhood? It's only when I got to the Royal Academy of Music in London that, as talented as all those people were sitting in the classroom, their childhoods were not as happy as mine. I didn't realize how really lucky I was and how really happy I was. And I'm lucky I have a lovely wife, a beautiful wife, and I have 2 lovely children, and we're a good unit. And sometimes I have to remind myself in the present how lucky I am. And they let me come to your pub every Friday and Sunday, and they don't complain. So I'm very, very lucky.
They can come too, you know.
They will. They'll be intrigued. I know you guys want to meet them, so we'll arrange it.
That's it. So, how can anybody on the broadcast help you, or listening to the recording help you? Because obviously we're going to upload this onto YouTube. So,
yeah,
how can people help you?
Well, you're a humble Lincoln, you know. I've got no money, and times are hard. I've only got a bicycle, and I have to ride a cycle to make our bread. No, joking apart, look, I'm doing commemorative musical video telegrams to help yourselves. If you know anybody that is celebrating and they want a little bit of Lincoln nonsense on a video, what I do is I put the music of choice of the person who is receiving. You know, little Molly is 16, and I played If You're Happy and You Know It, Clap Your Hands, as well as Up the Junction by Squeeze. Imagine a 16-year-old likes both Up the Junction by Squeeze and If You're Happy and You Know It, and The Night Garden and Britney Spears, all in one take. So you see, how you help Lincoln is what you do is you buy one of Lincoln's telegrams, and that keeps Lincoln going. It gives Lincoln's girls more money to buy handbags, which means that Lincoln has a happier life, happy wife, happy life, happy daughters. And those girls are getting so expensive. So please buy the telegrams. I'm also creating 2 online courses. We were talking about talent. The first one relevant to people who want to make it in the performance space. And there are lots of people at different levels who there is a need, especially as we're coming towards the easing of lockdown, whatever that looks like. People are going to want to celebrate. They need entertainment. And one thing that I've learned with Facebook is that people want to get back to live music. You know, so if you know anybody out there who is looking to get into that entertaining space, they need to come to one of my webinars. I'm doing 3 this Saturday, the 6th, the 13th, and the 20th at 1 o'clock, where I give talks on the subject with a few tips. And if people want to take it further and get more into it, there's a comprehensive online course that they can have. So engage with the maestro to learn to be like the maestro. Pick the maestro's brains and get some tips, because it's more about what I'm giving more than what I'm taking. And the other thing is I've been doing weddings this is my 42nd year of doing weddings. That's a lot of brides to kiss. It's dreadful. I'm writing a course for couples who are looking to get married. The thing about the wedding space is that it's a bit like Brexit. People realise what they should have done when it's too late. The thing is, when you're going on the process, people don't know what they can do, what they're entitled to do. What can we have in church? There are lots and lots of experts out there who give people misguided information. I've been very, very lucky in all these years to be at the front end, at the back end. I know what works in church. I know what readings work. I know what readings don't work. I know what is boring, unengaging. I know what is entertaining. I know what is relevant. I know what's in good taste. The options available, how to deal with the politics of churches. You know, if you're not a churchgoer, how do you approach these people? All of that's in there. What do we do in a civil ceremony? What readings can we have? What music can we have? Should we have a string quartet or a harpist? Should we have the maestro? Should we have an opera singer, a jazz singer, or a karaoke singer? How much can we have? How long can it be? Do we have to have loads? Can we have a tape, a recording? I've been in all those scenarios. What will the registrars say? I'm very, 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 very lucky that I have the confidence of all the registrars of Northamptonshire and many beyond. So, you know, the advice I give is gold, because, you know, whatever I say to these people, they can do, and it goes through. A lot of people speculate about weddings. Photographers, what sort of photographer what does a photographer do? Where is the value? Because everyone's got a phone on their cameras. What should we look for in a photographer? What are the key ingredients? What matters? You know, what pictures do we really need? You know, the aspects of history and our children that follow later. People don't think about things that are going to happen later. My children want to see the video of our wedding. Every 3 months, they get it out, they watch it, they can see who they are, their family members, some of them have gone. The value of having a video. What sort of video, man? What sort of shots? It's not like shooting a film. It's real life, it's your life. All of that kind of stuff. What food do we have? What venue do we choose? What do we need from a venue? What do we need from a venue? Do we need places where people can smoke? How do they do that? How do they serve? What level of food do they serve? What do we do if we're not happy? What will they do for us? Who's going to be there? Who's going to be there for us? What's the DJ like? What's he going to look like? What's he going to wear? What should we do? What accessories? What favors? Should we have blue tablecloths or white tablecloths? What sort of styling? Should we have a flashing dance floor? Should we not have a flashing dance floor? Should we have a live band, a 3-piece? I want to have a 24-piece swing band. Does it work? All these things I've seen, and there are certain criteria that apply in certain places. We are all individuals, and we all are triggered and aroused and excited by different things. What do we do if Auntie Mabel won't sit next to Uncle Derek? How do we manage that? Should we invite them to the day? Should we tell them to sod off and watch it on Facebook and Zoom? Which 8 people should we have if we're only allowed to have 8? Should we go to a venue? Should we have 1,600 people, or should we knock it down to 250 and have only the people that have been engaged in our lives? Who is important? Who is significant? Who are our real friends? Who are our associates? Who deserves to be there for the whole day and let us spend £80 a head on it? Or should we just go to the scalp hut, clean it up, put a few plugins on, and go to Iceland and defrost all the food and just stick it on a couple of trestle tables? These are the questions that the Maestro asks in the online course. So I will be talking about that. And that's basically what I'm all about, Karen.
Okay. And if people that need help from you, how can they get in touch with you?
What they do is if they're lucky enough to see this, then they'll know that I've got a YouTube channel. Or what you should do is just Google Lincoln Noel. There's only 7 of us in the world. The other 6 are ugly. And then there's me. So Google Lincoln Noel, pianomusic.co.uk. or if you're on the LinkedIn space, I'm there. The Instagram space, Tinkling Lincoln, the Maestro. That's easy to remember. On Twitter, Tinkling Lincoln, the Maestro. Or just Google Tinkling Lincoln and you'll find lots and lots of people calling themselves Lincoln. But remember, they don't look as handsome as me. There's one gentleman who is very handsome and unfortunately passed away called Lincoln Noel, who made and played steel pans in Trinidad and Tobago. So basically get yourself on Facebook and put my name in and you'll get to me very, very, very quickly, and then we'll take it from there. I don't have any criteria about who I deal with or who I don't deal with. Everybody is welcome. That was the thing I wanted to do when I was 6. I wanted everybody to have access to Lincoln. If you want Lincoln to play for you and Lincoln can play for you, that's good enough. There's no barrier of entry. Everybody who's has a desire and the willingness and the respect to appreciate Lincoln will come to you wherever you are.
Okay. Has anybody got any questions for Lincoln? Suraj.
Yes. Hi, Lincoln. Wow.
Hello, gorgeous.
Amazing interview. I have a big question for you, or maybe you can answer it. I know you played different instruments, but can you play a guitar?
Yes, I can. I can get a few chords out of a guitar. Yeah.
Oh,
My sister got a guitar when she was little, and she was learning how to play 4 notes. And I bought a chord book, and in my head I was Elvis. Don't ask me to go and play with Coldplay. I can't move that quickly, but I can get something out of a guitar that's reasonable. Yeah, it's a good question actually.
and how often? I mean, do you do sing as well when you're playing the piano? Am I right?
Yes or no? If the money's right, I'll do anything you like. Business is business, you know. You want to sing in Chinese and wear a red hat? No problem at all. I'll do it. Yeah.
So is there a song you'll never sorry, is there a piece that you don't ever enjoy playing? I know it sounds really strange to ask that question.
Oh gosh. Whenever I'm playing the piano anywhere, somebody comes up to me and says, I can play the piano. Can I show you? And I always say no, because they always play this tune. And if I had a tenner for everybody that played that tune to me, Siraj, you and I could buy an island in the West Indies and never come back. And I would have enough money to turn Wolverhampton Wanderers and Northampton Town and Brighton and Hove Albion into Barcelona and Real Madrid combined. So that gives you an idea of how many times I have to hear that piece. Heart and Soul, Billy Mayerl is a lovely song. I actually listened to the original and I thought, how did it get from that to what it is now? Love the song, but I'm sick to death of people coming to a piano going, I can play the piano, and then playing that. So the rule is, I say, if you play Heart and Soul, I'll slam the piano on your fingers. And I slam the piano on the fingers. They go, what'd you do that for? I said, every time you see the sore on your hand, you will realize that you played Heart and Soul to Lincoln, and you'll never do it again. But look, different pieces of music to different people. The one thing, Karen asked me about doing video telegrams. The 40%, I said this in a talk, 40% of the tunes I get asked to play, I've never played before. And, everybody here accepts that I've got a huge repertoire of different styles. And yet there's so much music out there still to discover, to learn. So whether it's Hamilton the Musical, which was a new one for me, or Billie Eilish, I was asked to play the theme tune to Poirot for Elise Sargent, the owner of Border Times. I've just been asked to play the theme tune to Dynasty, Thomas the Tank Engine, somebody wants. Different people like people different people get excited by different things. The thing about being a professional musician is that you've got to be objective about what other people's tastes are. That's the bit where business is important, because I've got to address, because I've put myself in this space, I've got to address and accept the tastes of other people. You know, there are days when I sit here and I play for myself. I do play for myself, and Mrs. Noel and the kids have sat in here and played. Generally, it's ABBA. But, you know, everybody's got their taste. And the one thing I've learned in my life is to appreciate that everybody sees the world differently. And, you know, they are excited, aroused, moved, inspired by different things. You know, for some people, it's the Beatles, and some people like, I don't know, they like Robbie Williams, Take That, Coldplay. And of course, Saraj, there's all your folks who love their Bollywood tunes.
Oh, so you play them too?
Saraj, if the money's right, I'll...
And we're going to have a snippet then. We're going to have a snippet. Go on, just for me.
You know, I'm going to play the same tune that the 1942. That's all we're getting, okay? You can have a private audience. Any other questions from the assembled crew?
I have one.
Go for it, Julie. Go for it, Julie.
Are your children musical?
Extremely musical. But I said to them that I want them to have the choice that I had to choose to play. People assume that my kids will play the piano because I play the piano, and I've said you have the choice to play if you want to. They can both play, but it's not high priority for them. Lucy wants to be a vet, and she's very, very into the behavior and psychology of animals, and Alice wants to be a dancer. So yeah, they play. They spend more time playing their ukuleles actually than coming in here and playing on the piano. But Lucy plays the violin and the piano. Alice plays the piano and the ukulele. They're not having lessons at the moment, but yes, they're extremely musical. Yeah,
good.
But they keep it to themselves. They don't want it to be a thing. They only want it to be something that they personally enjoy.
It's their pleasure.
Yeah.
And have you lost that? You don't seem like you've lost the pleasure of playing music, but sometimes do you feel,
Really, if I don't get access to gorgeous girls like you and my football and time with my friends and family, I think the beautiful thing about the one thing I will say is that with playing as much as I was playing, it's not so much playing as much as I was playing, is that I didn't have access to the things that give me a really nice escape route. Football is a massive escape route for me. I love watching live football, which of course I've done a lot of in lockdown. But I love people. It's actually the people more than the music that excites me. So I match music to the people. So whatever they want, you know, to be able to serve and please the people is really the greatest buzz. You know, I'm
so
not.
Can you normally look at somebody and think, right, I'm going to play that for them?
All I'm going to say, Julie, there's a lot of brides' mothers who are nodding at the screen right now that I have teased. I played God Save the Queen for one bride's mum walking in who felt she was very important, and all of my girlfriends will know that it is infinite the number that I've played. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts to a young lady. So you know, those you know, yeah. I did a silent movie back in the late 90s. I've never done another one, and I absolutely loved it. And it was only when I did the silent movie that I realised what I'm actually doing when I play at functions. What I'm actually doing is I'm playing the scenery around me. So people think I'm playing background music. What I'm actually doing is playing the scenery around me. So there might be a wife and a husband and wife in the distance that are having a right old Barney, and I'll be playing, you know, love and marriage, love and marriage. There is,
Oh, I love it.
you know, there is a tune in a group of people, in a random wedding party of people doing idle chit chat. I am watching every one of them. They have no idea. They do now that they're watching this, but they have no idea that I'm actually playing at them. And whatever I'm playing reflects where they are emotionally, spiritually. So if they're excited, I'll take the music up. And if they're chilled, I'll take the music down. And, you know, if they have to be seated for dinner, I always say, if I'm not the master of ceremonies, which I generally am, or somebody else is, I say, look, I'll get them sat down, because I will appeal to their psyche. So if it's time to go for dinner, what are they going to do? They're going to walk, are they? They're going to run. You know, they do. They. Or if I need to get them thinking, I think. The sort of ways. You know what I mean? The psychology.
So what would you play for your hostess today? Oh, nice one.
Karen's tea party. This is Karen's tea party. You know, Karen is a very well put together lady, and she is, you know, of the utmost integrity, and she's a very, very high, a lady of high integrity. We have the greatest respect for her. So yeah, it would have to be something that's very, very refined and delicious and expensive.
Love it. Thank you.
Lincoln, you've clearly performed in all kinds of different scenarios. I think I'm safe in saying that you love weddings. From everything you've talked about, the guidance, the course you're doing, there was a lot of passion came out there, and I'm kind of getting the feeling that, you know, you're talking about playing to the mood of the room.
Yeah,
probably not so easy to do in a formal situation.
Yeah, no, I like formal situations, and I do a lot of formal situations. The thing about weddings, Steve, is that it doesn't matter what class you are, creed, colour, how much money you've got, everybody passes through that gate. And so, you know, I'm there in my uniform, my best presented uniform, playing for all types of people. I think at some point later this year, I will probably go from Saturday to Sunday, and I don't mean Saturday, Sunday, I mean Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of weddings, because I think there may be an intensity to get that done. And what I've got is lots and lots of people of all descriptions from all sorts of places who have all got the wedding invitation sat on their mantelpiece. They have boasted about this day to somebody, and they've been to House of Fraser umpteen times just for this day. And then they turn up in what they believe to be the sassiest. And of course, I'm talking about the girls here. The sassiest, the sexiest, the most desirable, the most fabulous. And that is their definition of fabulous. And when you're sitting where I am, and you see all these thousands of people, their definition of fabulous is really fascinating to watch from this neutral standpoint. Because, of course, some people have got great taste, and some people...
Although that's all a matter of perspective, isn't it?
It is, of course, a matter of perspective. But as long as they're happy and everybody has the, you know, it is their prerogative to have that day off, to take their, to have their nails done, have their hair done, to be glamorous and delightful and look as if they live this life every day of the year. We all look skanky on Monday, sat in front of the telly, with clothes that we don't want the outside world to see us wearing, but on the outside, we want to be gorgeous and glamorous. And this applies to the gentlemen as well. My first weddings in '79, the men didn't really care what they wore. They wore the hand-me-down suits. The ladies wore the hand-me-down dresses. And now it's a big event. And I just love the fact that these people are aroused and excited for this day. So that's why I like weddings, because this is the #1 wardrobe situation. We live in a dress-down society. So if there's one, and I love being dressed up, if there's one day I know that people are going to bring their A game to the table, the women are going to smell the best they've ever smelled. And when I kiss them, they're going to be absolutely delightful. It'll be like eating the best meal possible. The trouble is, because I'm a wedding pianist, I get that scenario on a regular basis. So that's why I love weddings. I love the energy that comes to it and the privilege of being the person to deliver the music that makes it for them. And that's why weddings are so exciting. I love sitting at the piano at a Steinway and playing Rhapsody in Blue or Tchaikovsky 1, a Shostakovich 2, and all the stuff I get. That's a different buzz. But I do know that not everyone in society is going to take time out to come and sit and watch me in front of the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra playing that music. But everybody knows someone that gets married, and everyone comes through that gate at some point. And that's, I suppose, why I put weddings up there, because I know I'm going to hit every member of society, provided that they're happy for me to have me there. They're happy to have me there. You know, it's only a particular type of person that will go to the concert hall and watch me in my tails and white bow tie and shiny shoes, play a concerto or give a recital. So there's a kind of you know, it's almost like a private club. And don't get me wrong, the people that I play for are always delightful. But the thing about weddings and parties is that, you know, you can choose your friends, but you can't choose your family. And there's some interesting wildlife that's in my eye line at some of those events, which makes it so fascinating.
I have to say, I love quotations. And there's a lovely quotation which you epitomise to me from what you've said this afternoon. And that is, and it applies to all of us in business as well. And that is that amateurs practice until they get it right. Professionals practice until they can't get it wrong. And I think that paints a beautiful picture of you, Lincoln. And it's been a privilege listening to you. I loved your story. I won't go into it here, but my daughter at 3 said she was going to be a ballerina, and the commitment that you kind of described, I had the privilege of watching in her as she grew up as well. And you're quite right about the difference that people have when they say something and when they say it and mean it. That's really interesting. So I thoroughly enjoyed your story today. Thank you.
No, thanks for coming down, Steve. Thank you. Karen.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, one. Can we bottle that energy and have some?
Jilly, I will play something for you in the pub. I think we're kind of out of time here, but yes, I will. You see, for the folks that are watching, Karen has her Karen Vaughan, that rhymes with Frankie Vaughan, has her virtual pub on a Friday and a Sunday night, and it's a wonderful. You know, Lincoln plays a tune or two, but not every time. But it's a wonderful opportunity for people there is no barrier to entry. I talked about that before. People get together and they have a chat and they share experiences, and we have a life and we have a laugh, and that's what life's all about. It's simple, really. You know, that's why I like the gathering here. We're all people that, you know, I know some of you have known each other before lockdown, but you certainly didn't know me. And we've all got together and we've bonded in a very, very short space of time. And we don't take ourselves seriously. We just have loads and loads of fun. And we give each other lots and lots of affection, which is really, really important. You know, and I suppose in conclusion, you know, the music is there to bring sunshine, sparkle. I mean, in my in my capacity as a performer for music in hospitals, where I go to hospices and hospitals and care homes and centres for children, young people with learning difficulties. It's about bringing a little bit of escapism into the lives of the people that I play for. You know, that's what music is. It's escapism, a little bit of escapism in challenging times. And we're in challenging times, uniquely challenging times. And I think that that's what I realised when I saw Ray Hugh playing his guitar Sunday night. It was Sunday the 29th, and I played on Monday the 30th. Those are the dates that stay with me, because what Ray taught me, and he's a really good friend, and we've discussed it since, he taught me that you've got to share your music with other people and give joy to the others, and that's all I've tried to do.
And I'd like to say thank you to Lincoln.
Can I just say something?
Oh, sorry, Jay.
Hey,
Yes.
Jay, yeah.
Yes, I've been sitting here quietly listening to everybody. I just want to say, I never knew Lincoln until a few weeks ago, and I would say that it's been meeting you has been one of the benefits of lockdown for me. You came and you played at my 50th birthday, which was an absolute pleasure, and you made my 50th birthday. My plans for my 50th went out the window with lockdown, with like a lot of people who wanted to have big parties for their milestone birthdays couldn't. But you came along and you actually made my birthday. So I'm going to make a suggestion to anybody who is looking for somebody to raise their birthday during lockdown. We don't know how long we're going to be in lockdown. They're saying that they're going to wind it down, but we don't know. They've been promising that for ages. But anybody who wants some entertainment for their birthday, get in contact with Lincoln, because you truly are a maestro. You're an absolute inspiration, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you in these past few months that I've met you on Karen's party in the pub. So it's been great.
Thank you very much, Jay. Bless you. It was a very unique experience for all of us. That Friday, that Sunday, and got to meet some new people, and some great new people who are here today. And Jay, thank you. And you know, I'll say back to you, keep being the best version of yourself. You know, that's all my mum. And when my dad was dying, he told me to just be the best person, and to make him very, very proud. And you know, my dad is up there. He's, you know, my dad is probably up there talking to my father-in-law, and probably talking to your folks, Jay, and they're watching us down and saying, you know what, you see that lad there with the funny tie, and that's my son. They said, well, you know, the lad who asked the last question, that's mine. So that's where we kind of are, Jay. We just try and be the best people we can, and the rest will take care of itself. So that's what I say to you as you say, that's me. And thank you for sharing those words, mate. It means a lot.
It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure.
Landlady. So can I play out the pub? Until it all lost me way and nowhere to roll. You can't trust the specials like the old time cops when you can't find your way. Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to The Big Interview. Karen Bourne, that rhymes with Frankie Ford, has been interviewing the maestro, and we're done for tonight, and that's all, folks. Karen, close them up.
Yeah, thank you very much for joining me, Lincoln, for afternoon tea. It's been a privilege interviewing you. Thank you.
Well done, Lincoln.
Oh, that was really good. Thank you, folks.